On today's show, who are the top under-23 players and prospects affiliated to the NHL? We'll react to Corey Pronman's list from The Athletic and give our own. Plus, general managers around the league are getting ready for potential offer sheets next summer.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to this Wednesday, August 19th edition of the Locked On NHL podcast. I'm Ross Levitan. You can find me over at Locked On Senators. With me is Mike DiStefano from Locked On Maple Leafs. And as the summer comes to an end, camps are opening early September. Every one of your favorite Locked On NHL shows will be back to 5 days a week on September 1st. The smell of fresh cut ice is in the air, but for now, we're ranking players who some haven't even played in the NHL, Mikey. But look, the draft is done, and now it's time to see, like, hey, where does everybody rank? And not only prospects. I like this because Scott Wheeler at The Athletic, he does the prospects list right after the draft, but Corey Pronman, he adds the guys who are already in the NHL too.
Yeah, he's got the under-23 list, and that's where he considers you still prospect caliber, under 23 years old. And I think we can all agree that, you know, it's become a much younger league in the last couple of years than it has been in the past. I think it's been trending that way for a while, but the last two seasons, it seems like these young kids have really burst onto the scene into their late teens and 20s. I mean, led by Macklin Celebrini, who obviously is number one on Corey Pronman's list. I don't think that's going to surprise anybody. If there was anyone else here, that guy probably would have been fired if anyone else would have taken that top spot. But there's a plethora of young stars in the league, so I'm excited to kind of dig into it. There's some guys, obviously, who we'll have ranked a little higher. There's some guys we'd have ranked a little lower. You know, that's the best part about these rankings. You know, they're open to interpretation. But one thing is true. When I'm looking through this list that was put out here, I'm just reminded of how much terrific young talent there really is in the NHL.
Yeah, the top 14 on this list are all current NHLers. And look, you say you get fired if you had anyone but Macklin Celebrini at number one. Many in the comments want to have a word with Corey Pronman because their favorite player is ranked too low. Now, look, Corey does have a bit of shock jock in him, I think, when he does his lists, whether it's the draft rankings or this. I'm not saying he doesn't believe it, but there's always a few where you're like, you are so far off the consensus. He has, like, no spoilers. Go check out the whole article. There's write-ups on each one of these players. I'm sure it took him a long time to put together, and a lot of information is out there. But having Zach Benson as the 124th best under-23 player, and he does clarify, it's not who he'd take in a game tomorrow, it's who he thinks will have the best NHL careers. But if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan watching this right now, Mikey, I would set a calendar reminder for 5 years from now, and I would count how many players then don't have 100 points at all. Zach Benson already has 100 NHL points. He was unbelievable in the playoffs and seems like the type of guy who every year when the games get to be gritty and greasy, he's going to be at the forefront of the conversation and front and center stage.
Yeah, that's way too low. That is one of the more absurd ones that I know was making the rounds earlier today.
Where would he be for you? Ballpark it, because like he'd probably be top 30 for me.
30, I think top 30 is a good, like, just kind of thinking off the top of my head. Certainly top 50, like without a doubt. Don't even have to think about it. I don't think there's 50 more prospects or players under the age of 23 who would be above him. But I think he's kind of in that ballpark of, like, 25 to 50. Somewhere in there, I'm sure, is where he'll land. Because not that Zach Benson, I think, is like a top line player, but he does a lot for you. You know what I mean? Like, he's a guy who's going to go in there middle of the lineup, and he'll be a contributor for a lot of years. So he's going to be a useful piece for the Buffalo Sabres for a very long time. We saw it in the playoffs, and hey, maybe Pronman was too deep into prospect and draft coverage during the playoffs, or he didn't get to watch a lot of Buffalo Sabres games to see that for himself. Maybe that's why he had him ranked a little bit low. But there was a few things that I think a lot of people had issues with. That's one you mentioned. I mean, I obviously cover the Maple Leafs, with the Locked On Leafs podcast. And it's not that I have an issue with Gavin McKenna coming in at number 18 on his list, because the guy hasn't taken a shift in the NHL yet. So to consider him the best under 23 player, I think, I can listen to the argument that he hasn't cracked the top 17, we'll call it, yet.
But also, he's got to stick with his guns. He just did his draft rankings and had McKenna 4.
I understand, sure.
So his 15 through 18 are the 4 top.
Well, hang on.
Like his order.
Correct. You that's what I was about to say, was the fact that it's not that he's ranked 18th. It's the fact that there are 3 other players in the draft class that were ranked ahead of him: Chase Reed, Albert Schmitz, and Keaton Verhoff. The NHL told you that your draft rankings were incorrect. The NHL told you that Gavin McKenna projects to be the best player 5-10 years down the road. And if that's what you're, going to be tiering this out as, how do you have Gavin McKenna down at 18? How do you have him below these players that fell in the draft? I mean, Chase Reed ended up falling outside the top 5.
Like 7. That's my favorite part. It's not like it was Stenberg,
Verhoff,
the guys
after. Verhoff, he fell to 9th, and both those players ahead of Gavin McKenna. Like, it's, I don't know. Like, the guy went number 1 overall in the draft. I mean, there's sky high expectations for this kid. He's going to be, very talented offensively. That was one that I know a lot of Leaf fans got riled up about. Again, not that he's ranked 18th, but the fact that they had 3 other draft class members ahead of him. I don't care how he ranked him in his own personal rankings. That's just,
you got to evolve
for me.
You got to evolve. So more upset than Easton Cowan being 128th.
Equally dumb. Like, just equally dumb. Yeah. There's a bunch here that I'm sure if you go all the way down the list that you're gonna have some issues with.
Yeah,
I know that to be true.
Senators fans are looking at Carter Yakubchuk and being like, wait, Pronman, in the 2024 draft, you had him 3rd overall. You were the highest on him out of anybody. 2 years later, in a 40-point season in the AHL, 2 points in 1 NHL playoff game, and now he's 111th in under 23. Like, I'm not asking him to be even top 50, but 111th? Like, I mean, come on, brother. Now, you mentioned Celebrini at the top. We're going to do our top 5. No spoilers. Celebrini's number 1. But I will say, as a tease to the next segment, Mikey, he's not alone in that tier for me. There's one other player who's in that tier at the top, and Pronman has a 1-person tier. Celebrini, and then there's a 3-person tier. One of the guys in the second tier ain't even in my top 5. But one of the guys from that tier is in the top tier. And next, I'll get you to guess, and then we'll get into our own rankings of the top 5 under 23 NHL affiliated or NHL players. You're listening to Locked On NHL, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's going to hit a home run today, well, FanDuel's giving you a chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick on who you think will hit a home run in their game, and if you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league, especially now with the wild card race in the American League, just absolutely red hot. Every game has something capable of going deep. Now you get the chance to make your prediction before first pitch. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action on FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick for who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel. It's an official partner of the MLB. Welcome back, Locked On NHL, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, local experts on the biggest stories 5 days a week. So the Athletic put out their top under 23 players. Macklin Celebrini 1, Connor Bedard 2, Matthew Schaefer 3, Uri Slavkovsky 4, and Leo Carlson at number 5. Mikey, who do you think I'm saying doesn't belong in that tier?
Probably the same player that is not in my top 5 Yuri Slafkovsky.
Right, but I'm saying, who do you think I think needs to be with the Celebrini tier? You're right. Slafkovsky is outside of my top 5. He shouldn't even be the first tab on this list. Lane Hudson is better than Slafkovsky. And Uri definitely had a nice uptick last year.
But that's his problem, though. He hasn't put together a full season. It's like he plays good halves. That's the issue I think I have with Slafkovsky to this point. The consistency isn't there like it is with a Hudson, like it is with a Leo Carlson or, a bunch of other guys who are obviously on this list. I'm going to go ahead and say Matthew Schaefer is the player you got in your elite NHL player tier status. Matthew Schaefer with Celebrini. It's the 2 top by far and away under-23 players.
You as well?
You know what? No, I have Celebrini alone. I'm in lockstep with Pronman on this list. I would put Celebrini 1 tick ahead of Matthew Schaefer. That's not to say anything about Schaefer. I think it's just that's how special I think Celebrini is. Like, I'm putting him in that Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid category. Like, I think that he's going to be kind of that next guy, that wave of the future. And it's not that Matthew Schaefer can't be that on defense, but there's just something special about being like a goal-scoring, two-way centerman in the NHL.
Goal scoring, eh?
45 goals isn't enough for you? It
is. But guess what? That's his second year in the league. His first year in the league, he had 25. Matthew Schaefer had 23 as a defenseman.
Yeah, I understand, man. It's not that Schaefer isn't putting up points and he hasn't been impressive. Again, this is no slight on Schaefer. I just think that Celebrini is special, like generational, in my opinion. And that's kind of what separates me. Schaefer could turn out to be the best in the league. Like, Schaefer could rival with a guy like Cale Makar and get into that territory, I suppose. But I don't know. Macklin Celebrini for me is just here's where I actually want to maybe differ on this. Maybe there's 3 tiers separating Celebrini, Schaefer, and the rest. Because the way that he has it, because he's got it as tier 1 as elite NHL player. I think a majority of these guys will become elite NHL player. But like, Celebrini to me is a generational talent. And then I would put Schaefer as an elite NHL player. I probably would also put a couple other guys here, but maybe that's where we can find our
middle ground,
our common ground here. Yeah. Like, I think there's just, maybe we just got to add an extra tier up top and kick everything up 1 notch.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that because, I mean, Celebrini's 1 for me, but Schaefer's just so unreal. And 2 things about Schaefer quickly. 1, this guy turned 18 like 2 days before training camp. Like, he was the youngest player in his draft class. So to do it at that age is special. And he was injured for the whole second half of his draft year. Like, he barely played. So to come out of barely playing and being the youngest by far in the league, it was just insane what he did. Like, he should have been on Team Canada's Olympic team. Like, obviously, hindsight 2020, and they wanted to have the same decor they brought to the 4 Nations. But you can't tell me he's not a better player than Travis Sanheim. You can't tell me he's not a better player than half the guys on the blue line for Team Canada. And that, even saying that about an 18-year-old is completely outrageous. But I stand by it. He's special too. So I've got Celebrini 1, Schaefer 2. Is that the same, even though they're tiered differently? You've got Celebrini 2?
Yeah, Celebrini. I feel like we're going to end up having the same list, to be honest with you. I do feel like we're going to have at least a very similar list. At least 4 to 5 will be the same. Yep. So I got Celebrini 1, Schaefer 2, and Connor Bedard at 3.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think Connor Bedard, like, they got Patrick Kane. Sure, that's great. But, like, and this Kenserov, is that how you say his name? I'm sure we're going to know it in quick order here. But they're super high on him. They think he's going to come in. He's 37th on this list. He's 5'9", 175-pound forward. But he scored like 35-plus goals in the KHL last year at 20. So they think he's going to be a player. But what I'm getting at is, like, Bedard has been completely screwed by Kyle Davidson's inability to get him someone to play with right away.
Yeah, absolutely. And
this guy was playing with Tyler Bertuzzi and Andre Burakovsky last year for the majority of the season.
Yeah, and it's not as though they did a great job, setting him up for success this year either. As you mentioned, like, he still very much needs like another guy with him. And whether or not how big you are on Frank Nazar or how big you are on Oliver Moore, I still think that they're, another guy away. Like Anton Frundell, we'll see how Frundell does in his first year of action here in the NHL. But I do feel like he needs one more, piece to go along with him, a nice winger, a nice playmaker who can get him the puck so he can do his things. I'm not out on Connor Bedard. Like, I'm not. There's some people who are like, for whatever reason, starting to use the B word when it comes to Connor Bedard. And maybe that's only because he was billed as like a generational talent. Maybe he's not generational. Celebrini seems to be kind of taking the mantle there. But I still think he's going to be an elite player. I mean, I think he's still going to be a guy who's going to score you 40 to 50 goals each and every year in his sleep once he gets going, once he has a team around him. He's that like his shot is still like unrivaled. It's like him, and when Matthews is healthy, it's like those are the top two shots in the league. Yeah. Like in terms of deceptiveness and snap, eventually it's gonna all kind of come together for the Blackhawks and for Bedard, and he'll definitely deserve to be top 3 here.
I just realized too, this speaks to your point about McKenna being 18, you said?
Yeah.
The number 1 overall picks during this span is 2022 to this year, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 18 on Corey Pronman's list.
1, 2, 3, 4, and then 18. Yeah, exactly. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
However, this is where we're going off of. We've already gone off of Pronman's board because he has Bedard ahead of Schaefer. Like, I don't agree with that. I think Schaefer's special, but I'm not willing to get a pitchfork out for it because Bedard, like the start of his season before his injury, he was outstanding. And I got to see him play in junior a bit too. Like Bedard is that guy for sure. Yeah. But we got the same list so far. Celebrini 1, Schaefer 2, Bedard 3. But this is where we're going a different direction. Juraj Slafkovsky, I apologize, brother. You're not there.
No.
The fact that you're ahead of even Lane Hudson and let me ask you this: Demidov or Slafkovsky? Not next year, but career.
It's a good one.
That's close.
Yeah, that is close. It's close. Here's the thing. I think when Slafkovsky, I think he has a higher ceiling.
Correct.
Because of the size. I think he's got the higher ceiling. So I'm okay with Slafkovsky being ahead of Demidov, but Lane Hudson
shoots more. Demidov's like he always looks for that extra pass, which is good when you're playing with shooters. But
yeah.
But
I think Lane Hudson for sure is the top under-23 hab out there, and
is he number
cracks
4?
My lists. He's number 5 for me. I got him at number 5 for me, and Leo Carlson at number 4. That's how I got it lit. Do we got the same list?
I wish we didn't, but yeah, we do.
I told you.
Yeah, so that's the Locked On NHL list. And we did not compare notes before we did the show, but Celebrini 1, Schaefer 2, Bedard 3, Leo Carlson 4, Lane Hudson 5. So then let's see if this becomes a debate then. Who was number 6? Who was the guy that you had maybe a little bit of trouble leaving out of the top 5? Because the one I have is all the way down at number 13. On Pronman's list.
Really? You got Porter Martone coming in as the 6th best prospect.
Under 23 player. I was between Martone, Cooley as my next guys.
Man, you've given up on Adam Fantilli already, huh?
Yeah, and I know he had a really good year, but
I still believe in Fantilli. I think again when you look for. And this is what you have to do when you're looking at, under 23 players and prospects, you're projecting the future. If they build it right there in Columbus, I think Fantilli has the highest ceiling, in my opinion. Like, I think he has a higher ceiling than Logan Cooley. I think he's got a higher ceiling than a guy like Porter Martone. So for me, I think Adam Fantilli would be the next player on my list.
Okay. I don't hate that, but man, Martone and just the way he's going to do it, bleeding orange, like he's such a flyer, like the perfect guy for them to have in the mix there. He was
a beast in the playoffs, man.
And he was getting into it already, and he's 19. Like when he's 25, 27, like he's going to be a complete truck and really hard to handle. So I just
believe in it. The skating is a little under par when it comes to
Yep.
Porter Martone. I think that's the one thing that maybe would have me knocking him down a peg from like that Cooley, Fantilli kind of spot for me personally.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's a good exercise to do. And one of the players on this list down at number 32 is Ryan Leonard, and his general manager had some interesting comments. We'll get to that next. You're listening to Locked On NHL, your team every day. Welcome back, Locked On NHL, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, local experts on the biggest stories 5 days a week. The Washington Capitals general manager says that he does not want to let his RFAs play out next season before signing them. Of course, everyone with 1 year left in their deals eligible for an extension. Capitals have two guys, Justin Sourdif, who was kind of a head scratcher when he got traded, I believe, for a second-round pick.
Yeah.
Everyone was saying, huh? And he had a real nice year with the Washington Capitals. But obviously, Ryan Leonard's the big dog who's going to get a big contract. He was drafted 8th overall back in 2023. Had a nice season, fast, good puck skills, competes hard, and he's going to get paid. What do you think about paying your entry-level guys a year out? Especially a college guy who burned a year early. So he's really only played one full NHL year.
It's so interesting because for these college guys specifically, although I believe for the college guys, though, when you come out, you get just 2 years. Are you?
No, you get 3, but they sign at the end of the season.
No, I know, but does that allow them to be eligible for offer sheets? I thought there was some. So. Okay, possibly.
Yeah,
I would be in the camp of getting these deals done sooner rather than later. Like, I think if you believe in the player, then get the deal done. And it seems like they believe in Ryan Leonard. They've seen enough and believe that he's going to be a player for them. He's going to be a star, and they want to bring him in and they want him to be part of the long-term future here. Pay him accordingly. Like, don't wait. Don't be the Anaheim Ducks. And I think that's going to be really what's going to it's going to scare a lot of GMs into making sure that they get these deals done. Like, I think the days of teams having enormous leverage over RFAs are kind of done, because now all of a sudden I think the leverage gets back into these players, because all they have to do is say, I'll wait, because guess what? There's a threat of an offer sheet now. Prior, there really wasn't. It just wasn't there. I think things have changed, and that's what the Caps GM is alluding to here is moving forward. That seems to be a big threat within the NHL, and they got to make sure that they get those contracts signed so that they don't end up in a situation that Anaheim did with Leo Carlsson this summer.
Man, but I think Anaheim kind of did to himself. Like, when I saw the clip of Leo Carlsson saying he would have signed for like $7 million last year, like, imagine what Anaheim would have built. And what a last laugh for Danny Briere, because now Cutter Gauthier, who's one of the remaining RFAs right now, he's like, my price.
Did you hear the latest contract offer he rejected? Reported 4 years and like the 13 million range.
Come on.
He said, thanks, but no thanks. Kick a little bit extra my way.
He's pretty nasty to watch. Like, he's a very good hockey player. 41 tucks last year, but like
13 million good. Like,
no,
like that's Nate McKinnon money right now. Like, that's insane. That's Leon Draisaitl money. And I get it. We're in a whole new universe and a new world with the cap exploding.
But he was single digits still if it weren't for Leo Carlsson. Like, he's probably at 8.8, 9.3, around there.
Probably, yeah. I mean,
especially on a 4-year term. Like, team's not even getting hurt.
Well, let me put it this way. I think if Cutter Gauthier deserved that money, here's the problem. I think if you're Cutter Gauthier at this point, if you deserved that money, like, it probably would have come from someone else is the thing. Like, if you are deserving of a massive offer sheet like that and you're that good, it'll come. I think Leo Carlsson proved that, where a team was willing to give up 4 first-round picks because they coveted him so much and felt that he was that valuable to potentially building around a future of him. No one's saying that about Cutter Gauthier. He's got to check himself in the mirror, because like that is the problem. I think that there's definitely going to be a lot of there's definitely going to be a threat for the star players, your Schaefers, your Celebrinis, your Leo Carlsons, your Bedards. I think there'll be a threat there. But guys who are kind of in that next tier of good player, but not, or maybe even elite player, like that 9-10 million. The problem is with the way that the offer sheets are still out there, no one's going to give up 4 first-round picks for you. No. So you don't really have that leverage that you think you might have. At some point, this guy's going to want to play hockey this year. I don't really know what he's going to do if Anaheim doesn't meet his number.
Anaheim can't be paying.
Who do you think blinks first? It's got to be Anaheim. It's got to be Cutter Gauthier.
It has to be. And if you're Anaheim, you simply cannot pay 2 forwards $32 million against your cap.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You just can't do it. So if he's making 14, just that's 32. And he's rejecting that offer allegedly, reportedly. It's probably oh damn, Jackson Lacombe. Did he sign for $9 million? Yeah. He'd be making 14. He's a heck of a player on the back end. That's a great contract they got him at.
There's a lot of great contracts out there like that. Those teams we talked about a few of them earlier in the show, like the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, look at what Ivan Demidov signed for after 1 year in the NHL. It seems like a big number, but it's probably going to be an absolute steal in a couple of years. Lane Hutson's contract is already a steal.
It's the same way. That's what people
Caulfield, that whole team, because they signed everyone early and long term before the big boom came in the cap. They got ahead of things. They were smart. Yeah. Some other teams didn't really do that. Now it's going to line up perfectly, but
it was similar in Ottawa where everyone was like, "Wait, you're signing Stützle and Sanderson to 8x8s right now? They've barely played, and now you got 5 and 6 years left on those deals, and it's a different world." How mad are you as a Leaf fan though with the cap rising like that? Because that's what kind of sewered that stretch where you had Matthews, Nylander, and Marner all on really reasonable deals.
Yeah, no, it look.
Could have gotten a defenseman for that.
Could have got a defenseman. Could have had that extra little bit of money to retain Zach Hyman. That's always what kind of crawls in the back of Leafs' minds. I truly believe that no team got sewered more than the Leafs. They paid all of their guys, assuming that the cap is going to continue to grow, and then bang, COVID hits. Yeah. Flat cap for years. They're cap strapped. They're having to do all these gymnastics just to find a couple of dollars here and there going into LTIR. And then, it really did screw them. And now all of a sudden the cap's up there. And guess what? No one's going to free agency. So it's not like they're getting these stars hitting free agency. I guess, they got Bobrovsky. They'll roll the dice there and they're able to sign and trade Darren Radish, I guess. But yeah, it doesn't seem like free agency is going to be electric anymore because everyone's got money to retain their guys.
Well, unless you get the RFAs, which is why Washington's trying to get ahead of it. Final question here as we sign off. Ryan Leonard, project the contract. And the other thing, and we might see an uptick in moves here before September 15th, because as of September 15th, the maximum contract is 7 years if you sign with your own team, 6 years if you go to unrestricted free agency. So in Ottawa, it's Drake Batherson right now. It's like, hey, if you want to stay here, maybe we'll say, the Sens might say, hey, we're not going to have negotiations throughout the season. This is our 8-year offer for you right now. And then you're risking, if you say no, all of a sudden, hey, if they're not going to negotiate with me through the year, that might be a 6-year deal I'm looking at. That's a lot of bananas you're leaving on the table. And especially at 27, 28, you might not be ever seeing those dollars again.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll be curious to see if over the next few weeks here, the GMs, as they all kind of return from the cottage and return from summer vacation, get ready to get back to work. I think it's possible that we do see some of these RFAs and some of these contracts that are still unsigned, or at least the extensions that are eligible, that have been eligible since July 1st. I think you're right. I think you're onto something. We could definitely see an influx come in over the next few weeks prior to the start of the league year.
Is 8x8 fair for Ryan Leonard? 20 goals, 45 points. Obviously, you're going to pay for the future, but
yeah.
I don't think he's not one of those $10 million guys.
If you're Ryan Leonard, why would you sign for 8 years? That like it seems to me that a lot of these kids like Celebrini, Bedard, like the Leo Carlson, they're like, give me 5 years, and then guess what? I'm a free agent and I can do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah, it's going to be the
20-year deal.
It's going to be the 27 to 29-year-olds that are looking for that 8-year term, right? Because they don't want the fall off to happen at 35, and all of a sudden they're stuck signing a $2 million deal or whatever it is. So, going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. We'll be back next Wednesday. Locked On NHL continues tomorrow, and we've got the team previews coming throughout on Locked On NHL Game Night. For Mike DiStefano from Locked On Leafs, I'm Ross Levitan, Locked On Senators. This has been another edition Locked On NHL Podcast, your team every day.